let's look at Ferrari, the stock. So first off, read this disclaimer carefully. Then do your good deed of the day by liking and subscribing. So, here are the supercars. Ferrari also is on the top of the list, 78% here from the 52-week low, and basically at the highs. Here is Ferrari's official website. Start your engine. Yeah, that's a bit of a basic tagline, but works. So yeah, this company doesn't need a whole lot of introduction. They are diversifying a bit here. You can see into some merch. But yeah, they are obviously most known for their supercars. Definitively more of a luxury product. So this is definitively what we could call rather discretionary spending. Being on a tear. A big bullish move here from the 200 weekish territory in red. So yeah, being a big successor for the bulls, but as you might expect, I'm a bit skeptical at these levels, skeptical of further bullish action. Looking at the dailies, a very strong move. But when we do look at RSI, extremely high. This level doesn't have a good track record for the bulls. The weakness back here started at the same level. This major crash happened at the same RSI level. Back here, as you can see, also the same level. Going back here, we went higher. And in this region, we did actually, this time frame, we did see us go higher, but it was very erratic. The easy move was made. So basically, this is more bearish than bullish. MACD is also just extreme PPL, very, very high on the dailies. We are not extreme on the dailies. This shuffled sideways, it did cool down the RSI. We do see that there's a bearish divergence here between price and accumulation distribution. So the would-be breakout here is on very low volume. That is not bullish. So technically speaking, we are just really, really, really overbought. So in my notes, I write overbought exclamation mark. This is just really, really overbought. I think I will give the bears a -8 on this one. This is really high RSI. And as we saw, this level does not have a good track record. Looking at seasonality, the story does not improve. You see that there's a tendency for there to be weakness here into later May, a bit of a bullish move, and then a big bear comes into August, okay? So multi-month bear on the horizon, not good if you are a bull. 7% so far in May, so it's one of the better months, better Mays. June, the last 2 years, been weak. 2020 wasn't really bullish. 2019 was really bullish, but June is potentially a bit of a pullback month. July, it can be rather bullish. Looking at August, September, it gets weaker. So basically, there could be bulls betting on a good July, but the seasonality here is not really favorable to bullish trades. So any like bull that has a position in Ferrari, the stock, who is aware of this seasonality, they will definitively tighten their stops because this is not really good. So I do think I will give the bears. What will I give them? I think I will give them a minus. I think a -5. -5 is appropriate here. Next, we go to the fundamentals. Yeah, we go here to the dailies. That's the thing that makes sense. So looking at price book in blue, we are at a resistance level. We usually do not go above it. There's been some periods where we were above it. This period here did lead to one of the bigger pullbacks though. This period though, we did see a protracted period of high price book. But recently, price book has not been good for the bulls at these levels. It usually has been a forewarning of a pullback. Price to sales, similar story. Price earnings is very high, and you see that looking at price earnings, you have to go back here to 2020 to really see higher higher levels being entertained by investors. So, okay, I actually have it up here. So looking at the forecast here for Ferrari, there's a 5% upside price target. So there's a bit more potential upside, but not much. This is definitively not a value stock. Max price target is 26% above us, but the lowest is 14% below us. And here you can see, there's 11 analysts that are strong buys, but quite a few holds. So I do suspect that there's been quite a few here that's flipped here from buy region to basically just hold, and that's because the valuation here is really, really high. Okay, so yeah, into the fundamentals, I do think I will give a minus 6 here on the fundamentals. So this is just not bullish. Here we are looking at the statistical correlation between Ferrari and the S&P 500, 59%, 34% with the consumer discretionary ETF, and 45% with the car ETF. So that's a bit surprising. Then again, this is a supercar stock though, so this is not like a normal car. So the consumer dynamics here could be completely different from what is experienced by Volvo and Volkswagen and those companies. Okay, short term 85% correlation with S&P 500, 60% with consumer discretionary, but then all of a sudden we do have a 91% with the car ETF. Looking short and long term, I do think we will have to look at the cars. So it makes sense, but then again, we should be aware that the Ferrari consumer is very distinct. Okay, so here is the ETF. Messy, maybe we could get a bit of a breakout, but simultaneously with the blue 100-week moving average is pointing downwards, it will add bearish pressure. We have a bit of a death cross in development here, with the green 50-week crossing below the red 200-week. It's a slow indicator, but it's not bullish, not a bullish sign. Looking here at the dailies, yeah, we could get a bit of a breakout, but then again, this is a previous fail level, so it's possible to get a breakout, but looking at the previous times, it's not been a breakout. It's been a pullback level. Okay. Let's then compare race. No, let's do it like this. Like that. And then we get race versus cars. Cars like that. So the name of the ETF is Future Vehicles and Technology. It had a different name before. It was more like automobile, car-ish name, I remember. But yeah, this probably attracts more money. Future vehicles. Yeah. And that's something to just be aware of when you are, buying ETFs, is that, the name doesn't necessarily explain what is under the hood. You need to do some deeper studies because there can be some divergences. Because the name is, very important to get that money. A lot of people who buy ETFs, they do not actually do some deep dive into it. So, yeah. Okay, so we did see here, looking long term, this RSI level usually leads to reversals where Ferrari begins to underperform the cars ETF, meaning that the cars ETF will. Yeah, so Ferrari underperforms cars will outperform Ferrari. Looking at the dailies, yes, we were rejected from a pretty lofty level here on RSI. We do see though that there's a tendency for the RSI to be elevated. It's you have to go back here to early this year. No, this is early. No, this is March of 2022, so last year, to see any exploration of oversold RSI levels. You could be a contrarian and say that we are overdue that though, because you see further back that it was more normal for us to explore the upper and the lower region of RSI. So yeah, and given the valuation now of Ferrari, yeah, it's not cheap versus other car stocks. Seasonality here for Ferrari could actually be a bit strong into early June, but that is when it really gets bearish. May so far been a bit of a gain. May has a bit of a tendency to be bullish, but recently it's not been. Okay, so when it comes to relative performance, I do think I will give a -5 here to the Bears. Ferrari has really just run a lot in a very quickly. So it is really overbought, -6 here in favor of the Bears. Does that mean that it's guaranteed to go down? No. It means that the odds of it going down are much higher than it going up, continuing to go up, because in order to go up, it needs to attract new money, and the people who are invested in Ferrari, they need to buy more of the stock to push it higher. And when you have a nice gain in your account, then it makes sense to take some profits, tighten the stops, and that is the type of dynamic that can not only mean that the bears short and push down the stock, but you also have the bulls who start to get a bit antsy, and they will also add selling pressure. So when bulls and bears add selling pressure, that is when you get those meaningful corrections. I do think we have time for one of the boosts. Let's go into the ETFs. XBI is the biotech ETF. Yeah, nothing interesting here yet. SMH, a bit of a breakout attempt here from SMH. That's the semiconductor ETF. The AI news is very bullish for semiconductors, bouncing here from support. Yeah, so buying at the 100 week would be good, but now it's a bit of a missed opportunity. XLU utilities. Utilities is interesting. Okay, so this is flipped to the buy radar. But you look here, the red 200 week was not that tradable, nor here. But back here, it was very tradable, so it's a messy moving average. But so far, it's not been messy, though it's been a bit of a clean support. So red 200 week, definitively interesting. On the dailies, we're just hanging here in mid-air. Let's look at XLU. So the boost, by the way, the boost portfolio here, these are securities for which there are leveraged ETFs. So the XLU sounds interesting because you could trade it with leverage. Direxion, ProShares, and others have leveraged ETFs. Okay, seasonality is bullish here into early June. Looking at May, 4% loss so far, but that is one of the worst Mays, so that is contrarianly bullish. June, though, is weak, at least recently. But given that we have seen a very weak May, might be a lot of bearish news priced in, potentially. Okay, so we looked at Ferrari, and then we explored some other products as well. So all in all, I do think that utilities here, the 200-week moving average, pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. So that could be a bullish trade. And given that, there's been a bit of a froth in the market now, utilities is one of those, defensive plays. So it could be an interesting opportunity here in utilities to get exposure to something that isn't as lofty, and also to get, some nice yield, and might benefit from some sector rotations out of those sectors that really have gone very far. But yeah, whatever you do, of course, you do want to have an entry signal and stop loss, and go to diamondarm.com for more intel.